Hello, Grace Community Church. It's Pastor Seth. We're looking at January 30th reading. Today we're looking at Job 38, and we're reading all the way through the first few verses of chapter 40. Now, before we jump in, I want to tell you a story about when I was feeling really depressed and in despair. I was in my early 20s, and I felt like every door was closing around me. I had graduated college. I was working, but I felt like every door that I was trying to walk through was being closed. I felt like my relationships were failing, that I was failing, and I felt like God was attacking me in this time. And so I was wrestling with God, and I was asking him, why are you doing this to me? What good is coming out of you doing this to me? And at that moment, I was on an airplane. I looked out the window, and I had this clear view of a highway with thousands of cars driving on it. And I remember thinking, I got this thought, and I believe it's from God, that everyone in those cars was having issues as well, and they probably thought like their issues were as big, if not bigger, than my issues. But from where I was standing, where I was sitting, everything seemed so small. And I felt like God was showing me something, that the changing of perspective helps us understand more clearly what is going on. I didn't have the whole picture. And here that's what God is doing to Job. God finally speaks, and he says, all right, is this person, who is this that questions my wisdom with such ignorant words? Again, so God is challenging Job and is saying he is speaking in ignorance. And this kind of goes against the what most people say about Job, that he was blameless in all that he did, because the first couple of chapters say that he was blameless. But God is saying that he was speaking in ignorance. And so he's challenging him and saying, okay, if you feel like you can answer me, then here, guard yourself like a man and listen and see if you can answer. And so God asks him rhetorical question after rhetorical questions. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me if you know so much. And then he asks another rhetorical question and another rhetorical question until in verse 21 of 38, he says, oh, but of course you know all this, for you were born before it was all created, and you are so very special. I mean, God has the audacity to use sarcasm to Job within his suffering. I mean, that is to me very funny. But it's also shows something. God is kind of raising Job's eyes, raising them from himself and his situation to creation, is allowing Job to see a 30,000-foot view of what's going on in the world. It's not about you, Job. It's not about me. It's not about you. God is saying that there's so much beyond our perspective that we actually often are speaking, like Job, in ignorance. And God continues to ask him more rhetorical questions. Who created a channel for the torrents of rain? Have you visited the storehouses of snow? Do you know the laws of the universe? Can you use them to regulate the earth? And he goes on and on and on for a whole another chapter. And I think this is important because for me, whenever I feel like I am in depression or I'm in despair, it's because I'm focusing only on me. I kind of go inward and I think, man, woe is me, this is happening, I can't believe it, and I just think about myself. But I love these two chapters because it helps me raise my eyes too. Man, I feel like I know so much, or I feel like I'm so strong, or I'm the best parent, but look at the sky, look at the sun, look at the foundations of the earth. I can have no clue how everything works, and yet I still think that I'm somehow important in this world. Well, the truth is God wouldn't be answering Job if he didn't feel like Job could handle it, and if we weren't important to God. And so that's what God does. He answers Job, but then he says, okay, Job, I answered you with all these questions that you don't know. How are you going to respond? And Job says this, I am nothing. How could I ever find the answers? I will cover my mouth with my hand. I have said too much already. I have nothing more to say. Now, this is a great place for Job to be in, to realize that sometimes we speak out of ignorance, and God can handle that. God can handle the things that we are experiencing. He can handle us going and bringing all these questions we have, but we also have to recognize that there is a perspective beyond what we know. As God says, my ways are higher than your ways. My thoughts are higher than your thoughts. And so God has a purpose. And what we need to do is do what Job does and remember that, wow, I spoke when I didn't understand. And that's what we need to do, is ask God, Lord, what are you teaching me in this moment of suffering? What are you teaching me today that can help me become more like you? So that's what I want to leave you with today. What is God teaching you today? And remember that God does answer us, and he does make a way so that our suffering means something. It means that we're becoming more like Christ. So I hope you enjoy the reading today. God bless you.